Here's your host, Dennis Leary.
You know, If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor look too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life for broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at the beginning, and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are done, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 40 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Well, here we are, just me again. Um, I'm assuming that at some point we'll have some other fellows wander in. I think Victor Bravo is supposed to be headed in tonight as well. Hot Wings apparently, Thursday's a bad night for him. Wish we could have scheduled that differently. If we'd kind of known that way back in the beginning. And yeah, so Hot Wings had a couple of things he wanted to talk about. Just talk about them myself, I guess. Looks like we might have 0 viewers out there right now. Maybe one guy, maybe 2. We'll see. But Hot Wings, basically, we're treading over ground we've already trod over many times, I think. Obviously we've come to a consensus that we should be using a generally available industrial engines. I think that was always the plan, and and I think we've pretty much. Pardon me, guys. I'm plugging in this so I don't have to look at the screen. The one guy that's watching shouldn't be too angry about that, I don't guess. Plug this in, then I can use my big screen and I can just stare at it instead of staring at my computer. For some reason, I can't seem to. Well, this is bad TV, that's for sure. An episode of Family Guy, I guess. All right, now let's see what we got here. I'll turn this on. There we go. So based on generally available industrial engines, it's run what you brung. Is probably needed to get planes in the air. I don't agree with that. I actually believe that just run engines to a specific spec format that use off-the-shelf parts and a minimum of effort. So we're going to have to talk about that. Rules need to be evolutionary to keep up the changing market. Maybe not. I don't know about that. No one wants to be made non-competitive after investing time and money just because the market or technology suddenly changes. And that's actually what happens when you get with the run what you brung sort of thing. Somebody figures out a new widget and now everybody has to have that widget, whereas everybody was just happy and fine when we didn't have the widget. Rules should be minimal and as needed for safety and to keep costs down. I think we all agree on that. This applies to engine and airframes. I think we've actually beat that particular horse straight into the ground. There's absolutely no. I don't think there's anything that can be said about it. We've definitely kind of beat that up a little bit as far as the safety gear and all of that. You can go back through the past episodes and or the past meetings, check that out. The race course, I believe we were always talking about pylon based and designed to limit the G loads to gentlemanly levels. Yeah, of course, that's right. The courses should be adaptable to each airport and site to fit within the existing infrastructure. And I actually think it goes beyond that. I think what we're really trying to do here is we're trying to specifically cater to smaller airfields that wouldn't typically be able to get an air race, nor would they be able to, even if they could get an air race there, it would just be so expensive that nobody would make any money. So this is something that's, it's kind of a promoter's series, I think. It's so I think that works out pretty good. Plus, it's kind of like club racing. Expected top speeds of these planes will be in the 120 to 140 mile per hour range. I believe that. Formula One Reno course is just under 3 miles. Okay, yeah, sure. 1.5 to 2 miles might be a reasonable length. Yeah, I think so. I think that if you take basically if you take the average runway, I think Bill's here. I just heard somebody pop in, and there he is, Victor Bravo.
Howdy.
Welcome, sir. How are you? I started without you. I'm just reading through the notes. And it's been kind of an interesting start here without anybody, just me.
Oh, okay.
So,
An army of one, huh?
An army of one. Yeah, I was just reading through Hot Wings notes, and I'll just start over because we got plenty of time here. Basically, I think we keep rehashing. We kind of keep treading the same ground. The one thing that I keep kind of coming back to is this engine thing. You know, Leon basically considers that we're kind of established on this based on generally available industrial engines. I think we all agree on that.
Mhm.
Run what you brung is probably needed to get planes in the air to kickstart the series. I actually disagree with that. I think the engines need to be as minimally modified as possible to keep costs down. Just get them in the air, and then we can start talking about hot rod stuff and that sort of thing. Rules need to be evolutionary to keep up with the changing market. No one wants to be made non-competitive after investing time and money just because the market or technology suddenly changes. I have a different take on that. I think I've discussed this many times that I feel like that everybody's fine until somebody develops a new widget, then everybody has to have that widget. So if you just keep things kind of the same and you meet the goal, then nobody needs to invest more money in the engine. If our goal truly is what he's talking about here with the expected top speed of being 120 to 140 and over a 1.5 to 2 mile course, I feel like that we don't need more engine than that, right? This shouldn't become a horsepower race. It shouldn't become a tuner series. It should just be buy the engine, buy the prop adapter kit, or fabricate whatever you need to hang the prop off of it in accordance to what has been proven to work and is safe, and go racing. Right? I think that's the safest thing, wallet wise.
Yeah, I agree.
And I really, it's just all this language about run what you brung and that sort of thing. I just immediately have a knee jerk reaction of no, because what happens is, again, everybody's happy as long as we have the same widget. But the minute somebody invents a better, more expensive widget, now we all have to have that widget, and I don't like that. I think that kills series.
I think if you'll forgive me, I'm having a snack here.
Sure,
If you'll forgive the intrusion, my feeling is for right now that at the very, very beginning, to get participants, I think run what you brung is fine because I would want to knock down all the barriers to participation. Eventually, maybe sooner, maybe later, we don't know that yet, and we'd be crazy if we thought we knew it. Then at some point, one of the racers is going to have, a V-twin engine that makes 80 horsepower and fire breathing, whatever. And then,
Sure.
then we're going to wind up having to address that. But in the beginning, to me, on the promotion side, more than the racing side, I want, we're having difficulty getting 4 or 5 people on these meetings that you and I are having.
Sure.
I don't know how many people are actually watching, but participating.
One. We have one person watching.
Right, but participants, in the meetings are minimal. So that's telling me that there's probably interest there, but there's barriers. There's people who aren't sure yet. There's people who aren't. Like, I'm not going to spend 10 grand yet on
again, and that's why I say it has to be pull the engine out of the box or pull it out of the tractor.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be an approved mechanism to attach a prop to it, right? You can't have people just willy-nilly throwing a prop on an engine. It's just not safe. So there has to be an approved method of attaching the prop, and that's it. Don't just take it out of the box, put it on the airplane, or if there is something where we need, like the engine makes 35 horsepower out of the box, but we need 45 to make it a safe airplane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe okay, you can use any one of these 5 carburetors because we know they'll all power, or you can use any one of these, or you have to use this set of valve springs because we know the stock valve springs are going to break.
Yeah.
And that just, but it bare minimum stuff, right? Like literally going back to the kit, the caveman with wire cutters in a cave.
Right. Well, yeah, but so
I really want someone to just basically be able to order an engine, drag it out of the box, and with minimal cost to that engine,
right,
put it in front of the airplane.
Well, right, and I agree with that. My feeling is what I'm considering run what you brung was that maybe there are 2 or 3 engines. I mean, at this point, thanks to TP and a couple of the other guys and Tony, we're more or less zeroing in on the stock larger 900 and 999 cc, whatever.
The Vanguard, right?
The Vanguard or the equivalent, maybe a Kohler equivalent or whatever. I'll let the engine guys work on that. But
right,
my feeling is I would like to be able to have guys bring, for now, any one of 2 or 3 or whatever stock engines. I really wouldn't want them to have to buy a brand new engine. With that, my take on the engines is there's a million of these out in tractors and whatever. And if a guy can take one out of his tractor or his mower, whatever it is, and say, hey, I'm halfway there. All I got to do is build the airframe, but I've got 2 or 3 of these motors laying around on the farm. To me, that's a huge positive. So right now in the very beginning, until we have a good running class with enough participants, I would very strongly not want to say, okay, thou shalt buy this engine from Northern Tool.
But I would want to make it so that a guy would be capable of just buying an engine out of a crate and putting it on and not have to worry about the guy who, the guy that spent, $20,000 on a hot rod paraglider motor, right? Like I actually saw one the other day. I think it was on eBay or somewhere, or maybe it was Barnstormers. This guy had this hot rod V-twin. It was a cool looking motor, but it's for a paraglider, obviously. And
that can be solved by the claiming race deal.
I think claiming is I think that's a real thing. Yeah. And then just kind of moving on, obviously the race course we've talked about ad nauseum, the safety we've talked about. We've actually beat that in the airframe. We beat that into a pulp. We covered that many times. And engines, I mean, just there's no consensus with the engines. I would, I don't know that the engine's going to be the issue, right? I used to, and I've always said, and it may be different in airplane racing, obviously, but because in the racing that I did, a bigger motor would not gain you lap time, but spending 4 hours getting your aero right or getting your setup right or changing springs or whatever, that would result in lap time. And we actually see that. I have a buddy of mine outside of Atlanta, and he owns a company called Nine Lives Racing, and he does aero kits for various sports cars and does a lot of aero work. And you can spend $2,000 with him and gain lap time where you could put $10,000 in your engine and not gain any.
Yeah, that holds true in airplanes too. Yeah. You do want the engine running as well as you can, but there are greater gains to be made with air than there are with the engine, and that was told to me directly, eye to eye, by the greatest air racing pilot of all time, Ray Cody. I think Ray's record for wins was broken by John Sharp finally, but Ray was the king of airplane racing. He won 100 and whatever air races, as many or more as Steve Whitman did. Anyway, bottom line is, especially with low power, you're going to gain a lot more with drag than you can't have a crappy engine, obviously, in any racing class, but your lap time is going to go down faster with managing the air than it is with skirting the rules on the engine. My feeling on the engine issue, I'd like to suggest that we wait until Tony Altobelli is done with his testing. He's been doing a huge amount of testing. Apparently knows what he's doing. TP is doing a bunch in Australia. He knows what he's doing. And there may be a couple of other guys. Flat Iowa, I think, or one of the guys that's been on with us has been wanting to do a little bit of testing. So I believe that the people who are actually setting up benches and putting test clubs on and changing out parts and figuring out when the springs break, like you said, I believe strongly that you and I talking, or anybody else talking, or even engine experts talking, is a distant second place to guys actually coming up with test data. And they will certainly come back with results that say, with this combination of stock parts and these two aftermarket parts, you're going to get 42 reliable horsepower, or whatever it is, and it's not going to cost you much. And then we can use that to address what you said earlier about, here's pretty much the engine spec, and we want you to put these different springs on it because they last longer, they don't break. But I don't think that we could, as much as we might enjoy talking about it, I don't think that we could legitimately come up with too much on the engine without leadership, actually, or guidance from the guys that are out there with the wrenches gathering actual.
And that's why it's just a dead end argument at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And for me at this point, so where I'm at personally is I ordered all of the information I could for the Quickie to be able to build one, and I've actually been looking for a project Quickie if I could purchase an abandoned project, I would like to do that. And if I could do that and get that aircraft moving, one of the things I'm going to do again this is just on my end, right? This is just has nothing to do necessarily with the series, but I'm going to have all of the bulkheads, all of the foam parts. I'm going to have a friend of mine scan those in and CAD them for me, so that they can be cut out on either a hot wire table, a laser table, or a milling center. Router. A router table. CNC router table. That's what I was trying to do.
Somebody posted, I think it was on our forum, somebody posted there was a Quickie project somewhere that was on Facebook, on a Facebook page or something. But
look at it.
Yeah, look at it. But please don't go buy anything that's been sitting out in the sun, because that's a losing proposition.
I've got and I'm trying to get my long easy right now. I just finished covering my Sonoray. I just finished covering it the other day. It's all ready for paint. If I could get a few hours free, I could get that thing in paint, and then I could start reassembling it, and I would have a flying airplane again.
Good deal.
I still need to buy your airplane if it hasn't sold yet, but
it's on deck, man.
You caught me at the wrong time. I have too much stuff. My wife is like, you can't buy anything else until you get rid of something, and I'm being too slow to get rid of anything. So I legitimately have to get rid of at least probably 2 to 3 things before I can purchase your airplane.
Well, at the risk of what they call thread drift online, I guess this is a discussion drift.
Yeah.
What exactly do you have? I have a reason for asking. You got a Sonoray? You got a T-Craft?
I've got that Taylorcraft that I bought last spring that was damaged. It's fully repairable. The problem with it is I have to work with my AMP buddy on that, and right now I think he's inspected it. There was some confusion about whether or not he needed to submit a repair plan to the FSDO and get that authorized before we did the repair. He said no, and so basically I'm ready to cut tubing. There's a guy in the Taylorcraft group on Facebook that has the jigs, but he's in North Carolina, I think, and I just haven't had time to run over there
Mhm.
to borrow the jigs and bring them back and set the fuselage.
Okay.
And I think he has the plans to build jigs as well. So maybe
Yeah.
I'll just build them.
So you
But
got the Seacraft, the Sonorai, and what else?
I've got a very easy that's complete that needs to be repainted, and I just haven't. And the O235 needs to be rebuilt, and it's a C1
Right.
O235, so it's not the most desirable. There, some of the parts are hard to find, and
Yeah. What
yeah.
else?
So, and I've got I've got the long easy, the Taylorcraft, the Sonoray, and the very easy, and a Dragonfly. I have a Dragonfly.
Okay. Well, there may be a way to if you are interested, there may be a way for you to have the 172 that I have with no net gain in the number of airplanes you have.
No net gain.
Alive, yeah. Because if your wife has access to those weapons behind you on the screen, I wouldn't want you to see you get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll talk about that somewhere else.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm looking to trade down out of my 172. I'm not looking to get out of aviation. So
I see.
if somebody wants to, I just want a far less expensive airplane, and then I need the cash for other stuff to keep my head above water. So there may be something there. Maybe yes, maybe no. Anyway, back on.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I've got. I actually have a. So I have a second Sonoray. I have a complete Sonoray. So I have a complete second aircraft. The wings are in a box, right? I have a wing kit back when they made those. They don't make them anymore. Matter of fact, all of the parts I have, they don't make. I bought specifically because they don't make them anymore, and I bought the whole project to get just a canopy. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
that's all I cared about. The only part I cared about was having a spare canopy. And I've actually I've looked at offload, and I thought my son would want that the Sonoray. I really thought he would want to build it, but he's looking at it as, you're going to have a Sonoray. Why do I need to build one? You it's already sitting right there, and so
and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. But my plan right now is to get the quickie stuff. Have my CAD guy run through it and just put it into it, because it doesn't take that long for him to take flat pictures and turn them into a 3D model, and then render it into an STL. So get him to do that, and that way we have all the bulkheads, and he can you can probably cut the sides, and all of the flat pieces for sure can be cut very quickly. And then it's just like assembling a model airplane kit, right? At that point, it cuts your hour time down, your accuracy improves, and all of that. The whole reason I'm thinking about doing that is because if I do build one, I have to be able to build it really fast, because I can't detract from my other projects.
No, I understand.
I can't like if I took 3 or 4 months, 5 months to build a quickie, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that my wife's not gonna be mad about that.
Right.
But she probably wouldn't even notice, because all the airplane parts look the same to her. It's just, and the colors are different. That's
she's not hip to that yet. So let's leave that.
She doesn't care. The colors are all different, but she doesn't care. And she honestly doesn't care anyway. It's just like, you have another one? And I'm like, yeah, I do.
Well, anyway.
So, but if I can get the quickie, what I'd like to do is I'd like to build one and then either donate it or just have it used as the test, the test standard or whatever aircraft for the series. Because if you can make it go fast enough that it can take the turn without, and still maintain the airspeed and everything. The problem with the quickie is that with the horsepower that it came with, which was like 18 or 20 horsepower, if you turned it too sharp an angle, it didn't have enough power to keep the nose up. The nose would start falling over. Yeah. So, but if it had 40 horsepower, that changes everything, right? And a better prop.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So assuming that it can be built light enough and all of the things and turn the Quickie into a legit race plane,
Mm-hmm.
I think that to me that becomes kind of a standard that then you can compare an SD1 or the AR5. I would love to be able to do the same thing for the AR5 or an AR5 clone, to where you could just punch out all the composite, all the foam pieces, and then just class it up.
Let me interrupt you for a reasonable reason.
Sure.
Recently on our HBA forum, somebody had mentioned, I think it was the guys that are building the half-size FW190 Warbird replica, if I'm remembering.
Scalebirds?
Yeah, no, not Scalebirds. I can't. Gosh, I don't remember. It's got the 58% scale FW190.
Okay. I'll have to look into that.
Basically, the extension of what the war aircraft replicas used to be, but War Pilot, I think it is. Anyhow, but he mentioned that he also either had the molds or was buying the molds or making the molds for an airplane called the Starlight, which is the single place version of what became the Pulsar, the airplane designed by a designer named Mark Brown. And the Starlight, if you look it up on the computer, STAR-LITE, it was designed around a Rotax 447. It was 120 or 130 mile an airplane stock, and it looks very similar to an AR5. And if he has it was a molded fuselage. I don't remember whether they were molded wings or hot wired wings or not, but it was a nice round molded fuselage. There was one or two posts where he claimed that he either bought the rights to it or had the molds for it or something. And when I saw that and I was reminded of that aircraft, that is the perfect benchmark for what we're talking about right now. It is the closest thing to a repeatable or reproducible AR5 that there is. It looks very similar. It's not exact. It had nothing to do with Arnold, but it's the same size. And they made quite a few of them, and then he made the two-place version, which is called the Pulsar, and they sold thousands of those kits. If that is the case, that I would like to very strongly suggest that be brought into this discussion as an equal with the SD1 and all the other stuff, and the Luciole and all the other stuff that we've been talking about, the Quickie 2, because that aircraft, it looks like a racing airplane. It was almost fast enough for the Rotax 447, and with better clipped wings or a little thinner wing or something or other, you've got 80% at least of what is an probably ideal airplane for this category that looks like a normal airplane racer to boot. Because there are some people who will look at the Quickie and go, "Oh, that's too weird for me. I want a normal airplane," even though there's nothing wrong with the Quickie. Right,
and that's legitimate, right? And so to that end, I've also talked to the guy Bill Clapp at
Azalea. Yeah,
and he builds basically he builds that scissor or not scissor wing, saber wing.
Yeah,
and it's a two-place. Now I think he has a prototype single place version of that.
Yeah.
And what he and I had talked about at one point in time, because I was looking at buying that company from him, and then keeping him on as the lead engineer. Now that I don't know, we haven't talked in many weeks about that. But and I told him, I said, assuming I did, one of the things I would want to do is to do the single place, using the similar manufacturing method that they're already doing, to cut the time down to where, this is the way that they're building the fuselages are very much like they build the Ariane aircraft down in Shelbyville, which is right down the road for me, which is they mold. They have they have a company do it. Bill does his in house, and I would do mine in house, where they mold the actual fuselage halves in. I believe they're using vacuum molding. They may be vacuum bagging. They could be infusion molding. I don't know, but they're molding the composite fuselage halves together, and then they bond them together with the bulkheads inside of them, just like a plastic model airplane.
Mhm.
And it speeds the construction up a
Mhm.
lot, like like an amazing, and it keeps the airplane very, very light.
Yeah.
And that, so I'm looking into this, like, so I see it as we have two issues with creating a series. Number one is there aren't enough small, light, fast airplanes currently out there that people can just glom onto. Hummel, right? You could do a Hummel. You could do a tube and fabric, small, a small tube and fabric, like a smaller Sonarray kind of, sort of airplane. Which I think that's probably the perfect airplane for the series, to be honest with you. It would be very inexpensive. It would be very light, very, very light. Aluminum wings, tube and fabric, super cheap, you know.
Well, there's the Davis DA5,
Yeah.
which or a version of the DA5.
Sure.
There's that. That's all flat sheet metal. There's the KR1, the original KR1 that Bill Clapp, expanded from. If you wanted to scratch build something, I think we agreed several times in the previous meetings that we should allow as many different options, because there's going to be a guy who's got sheet metal. There's going to be another guy who wants the molded one, and there's going to be another guy who's a surfboard foam guy. So we should let all of them do it within.
Yeah, I think the only thing is that in modern building right now, the guys are looking, and I see this all the time. Guys are not building long easies right now. They're building cozies because they think the cozy's easier to build and faster to build, which is weird. I know, but that's what it is.
Why?
And they buy velocities. They'll spend more money buying a velocity than building a cozy because they can go down in a week and get it done.
Yeah.
They have it's a week to get the airframe done, but then it's another year to get it wired and the $30,000 worth of electronics they put in the thing. But at any rate, I just feel like that there's to get a series like this off the ground, it has to almost be the ultimate quick build series, right? It's like the tube and frame guy needs to be able to there needs to be a jig somewhere out there where a guy can rent it for 2 weeks and jig up and build and weld, tack together a fuselage in 3 days, 4 days, right? It can't take 6 months to build a fuselage, right? It's got to be simple, robust. Jigs have to be available. It's the same thing with, if you're going to do, because otherwise you'll never get the plane count.
Yeah.
Because even if you have, I know we're only talking like maybe 10 planes an event, right? But just due to the size of the airplane, you might get 5 guys that fly the plane from event to event or trailer it from event to event. So there needs to be another 5 guys that are somewhat local, within 100, 150 miles where they can fly in day before or whatever. And to do that, I feel like that, there has to be a solid number of these planes out there getting built.
Yeah. I agree with that. And the way I would achieve that is having the maximum number of options for everybody's different. You got the cheapskates like me that would say I'll cut sheet metal and do pop rivets, and you get other guys that say, hey man, I'm a surgeon, my time is worth a lot more than this. I want the molded Bill Clapp version that goes together like a plastic model. and got everything in between that.
Everything in between. You got the woodworker that wants to build a KR.
Yeah. So the point is, in order to get that airplane count, you offer the most amount of options and the most different levels of prefab, like you said, the quick build level, and you just in the early stage, you don't want to cut anybody out.
Right. I think that's exactly right.
Yeah. So
that's kind of where I'm going. I'm like, I think the only way I can help here is I might be, and I'm not even sure I might be able to facilitate, getting this CAD stuff at least started. And if I can't, maybe somebody else can, maybe I can just take my idea and run with it. I don't know. I mean, I'm always busy with something, but at the end, I don't even have the documents for the quickie yet. I'm starting to wonder if I'm going to get them. It's been well over a month since I ordered them.
Well, you bought them?
Yeah, I bought from QuickHeads. They have a package that has all the drawings, all the updates, everything. And I was, it was like $100 or something. And I'm like, man, I'll buy it. And I haven't seen anything yet. But it takes, I'm sure it's not the guy's real job to send out quickie stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's.
I'm not too worried about it.
I mean, there's people that have that stuff.
Yeah. Well, Leon has that stuff. Leon's offered me the prefab metal parts that he had made.
Right.
I think he offered me a set at an attractive price to see. I mean, they're cut, they're pre-cut. I would have to bend them and everything, but I'll
donate the foam blocks to you.
Yeah, I think there's actually a company here that in my area that cuts the foam blocks to any size.
Oh, okay.
So I don't even have to drive down Aircraft Spruce and buy foam blocks.
Okay.
So that's actually a really handy thing. I don't know. I think my real concern now is we need to get a little bit more organized. There needs to be somebody. Like I don't know who it would be, but maybe Leon. Leon seems to have a quite a organizational skill going on, but he also seems very busy. And we've got to start getting things together so that at some point this starts making real sense. And there's something that people can look at besides some meetings where we hash over the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
It might even be time to start looking at, putting together some loose documentation of this is what this airplane needs to look like. It needs to be under this amount of weight. You need to have this wing loading. You need to be able to pull this many G's and put together a packet so that, so that a guy that wants to build can build.
Yeah. I agree with that. I don't see the harm in having meetings where things are discussed to death over and over.
Oh yeah. No, I'm happy to host the meetings. I'm happy to do all of this. This is honestly, it doesn't. I'm on camera all the time, so it doesn't matter.
No, my point was that if there were meetings where, if we were all MBAs trying to minimize these meetings, that's one thing. But in this case, the more meetings that there are and the more things that are discussed and the more opportunity to get people interested, that's how you're going to build support for this before the first rivet is driven too. So having the discussions and getting, Tippy and Tony and the other engine guys having their expertise in it, and having a couple of the guys that were engineers, talking about G loadings and torsional loads on the wing and that sort of stuff. I see more good in that, even if we do going over the same points more than once. Now that's just me because I like talking about this stuff with people and enjoying it. But
I'm just saying that at some point, somebody that's coming into this cold will want to be able to look up and see, hey, this is what we have. Kind of, and honestly, Leon actually did a really good job of laying it out.
He did.
He might be the guy. He might be the guy.
Oh, he doesn't know it yet, but he is the guy.
Well, he didn't come to the meeting, so he can't vote.
He said he was going to be. I thought he posted earlier today saying he was
Yeah,
going
he said Thursdays were real hard for him, and that he didn't think he was going to be able to make it. So,
to.
and this is what I expected during the summertime too. You know, people, it's. I mean, honestly, if I didn't know I was going to need to do this tonight, I probably would have been out sanding on a pair of cowlings right now.
Yeah.
So I've got the cowlings for the Sonneray out of my driveway, which is dangerous, but I got those out there. I tried to clean all the exhaust oil and grease off of them, and now I'm getting ready to wipe them down and start sanding and try and turn them back into a pair of cowlings I can use. I have a new set, but I'd rather use the old ones if I can save them.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, let's be open to the possibility that perhaps Thursday evening is not the best time. Maybe there's a better time that gets more people into it. You know, maybe it's later at night after everybody gets back from work, or maybe it's some other day. Or I'm on. Like I said, I do this. I was on. I do a show. I have a show that I do, and I do it Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday nights, and Monday and Thursday afternoons. And I appear on other people's shows all the time, but that's elective. I don't have to do that. Mm-hmm.
Like I was on for 2.5 hours earlier today. So for me, this is nothing. I can do this anytime. This is super easy. It's no big deal. So,
well, yeah, I mean, for all the other people that might be involved, were it not for the time chosen, perhaps.
Yeah, I arbitrarily picked the time because I assume that, you know, Wednesday night, you know, people go to church. You know, Friday night people go out. Saturday night they stay in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Sunday night they go to church. So, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday nights was probably what I figured.
Yeah.
You know, had the best chance. And
I believe one of the priorities should be to promote the idea of more, or find a way to promote or increase the promotion of, hey, you know, come hang out with these meetings and participate. We need more than just 2 or 4 voices. And then, you know, because as you probably know, if you're in the blogging and vlogging world, the more people that are involved, the more energy gets created, but it's exponential. And so if there were 5 or 8 of us on this meeting right now instead of just a couple, then I believe there would be an awful lot more energy created, a lot more interest, and other people would get interested in all that. So I believe that's also a huge priority.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, and again, I anticipate that it's going to be tough during the summer. I think, you know, it may be fall before we really start seeing attendance, because
it's okay.
You know, people are traveling, they're on vacation, their kids have stuff to do, you know, or they, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm game for anything. If we, you know, if we take a poll and figure out another time, we'll make it work somehow. If we can't figure out what time it needs to be, then we'll, you know, we need to do a couple meetings a week. You know, maybe 2 or 3 guys can do this night and 2 or 3 guys can do that night. Maybe we do a couple, but it seems like that we should be able to, even if it's just one big meeting a month at this point, it would be better than what we've kind of got going on now, which is you and I talk a lot, which is good.
Oh, that's fine. I like you. That's fine. Yeah, I think that might be well worth it to explore that. The other thing that might help, and again, forgive me, I'm putting on my sleazy salesman's hat right now, but
that's okay.
What we also could use, if and I can't do it myself because I don't have the talent. We need, I hate to say this, an artist's conception of, like, if you go to the Formula One page, they've got a little drawing of 2 midget racers going around a pylon, you know, and pictures and all that sort of stuff. Well, we don't have pictures yet, or airplanes yet, but some digital artist, somebody that does Photoshop or InDesign or whatever it is this week, they if they did that, and we had something that looked like a quickie racing a SD1 racing an AR5 around the pylons with the crowd cheering in the background, just one of those simple line drawing things.
I've got a guy. Matter of fact, I asked him about it before, but he's been busy with other stuff. But the guy that does all my artwork, as a matter of fact, let me see if I can. I got to play the glasses dance here. Let me see if I can put some of his cool work up. As a matter of fact, I do have some. So this is I'll put this up here. So this is a thumbnail he made me for one of my. Let me. I'm gonna have to put us over here. That didn't work the way I wanted to. But I don't know if I can. Not let me move me. That's all right. Yeah, well, it's just like there's a background, and that's not helping. And then, nope, didn't help. Didn't change. No change. Well, it didn't help me. Anyway, he does the backgrounds for me, and I'm gonna drop you down. I'm gonna drop us both down out into the green room. You'll still be able to see the screen. Just 1 second, but look at the thumbnail he did for me. You see that?
Yeah, with the 3 girls on it.
Yeah, the princess effect. Yeah, that's for my regular show.
That is way more artistic and complicated than
more professional. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And he did that for me, and he did that. I mean, he can do something like that easily. That would be no problem at all.
Yeah, it's advertising, but the truth is, right now we are, in addition to figuring out nuts and bolts, we're also in the business per se of advertising this and getting people excited.
Yeah.
Have to be. We're waging psychological warfare for a good cause. Instead of selling beer, we're selling an interesting idea, but it's the same principle. Sure. Having that kind of a little logo, or maybe even a couple of them, one with a quickie and one with an SD1 and all that. If that's not too much to ask, that would be cool, because that way.
Oh yeah, he'll help me out. Here's another one he did for me for for Friday's show.
Wow.
Yeah. So he did that one for me. That was for last Friday's show.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. And yeah.
And that's the name of your other podcast, or whether
it's an Unreasonable Man. Yeah.
Okay.
It comes from the George Bernard Shaw quote from his 1907 play of Men and Supermen.
Okay.
Where he postulated that because of hypergamy and eugenics, that the best women would mate with the best men, and so on and so forth, and refine the human race, and eugenics would happen, and then by now we would all be supermen. There would be a race of supermen, and then of course the lesser races that were not so lucky to receive hypergamy. He was a socialist, so you can't take anything. He was an idiot. He got unfriended by H.G. Wells. They were friends, and then they weren't. And then, but he did do one thing. In the play, he has this quote where he says, "The reasonable man conforms to the world around him. The unreasonable man forces the world around him to conform to him, and therefore all change must come from the unreasonable man."
Guilty, Your Honor.
Right. Yeah. And
I guess
it's interesting. Yeah. It's and so that's the name of my show. I do the show 5 times a week. And
well, I might. Is that something I can just log on and watch or something someday?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I can I'll PM you the um on the forum
All
the
right.
link to it.
Yeah,
It's
watch.
conservative, and I use rough language. I warn everybody that it's an adult show. But it's
I
it is what it is.
well, I
We
was
talk a
ready.
lot about we talk a lot about men's advocacy. We talk a lot about um, uh, various political discussion. Actually we're becoming more and more as this is the year for the show's becoming a little bit more and more political as the days go by. Um, yeah, I mean, I only do 2 hours during the day. I call it the day shift, and I don't title it or anything. It's just Monday and Thursday. I do 2 hours those 2 days, and
All
I
right.
interact with the chat just like I do here. If there was somebody in the chat right now and they posted a question, then you've seen me put it up on the screen, and I interact with the chat, and we have I have a intro screen I have an intro that's 20 minutes long that is very much like the intro that I ran tonight for this, except it's all race car stuff, and so it's a totally different podcast to this. Or it's totally different than this, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing it. I kind of fell into it. Um, you know, uh, wrong crowd. Hanging out
Yeah.
with the wrong crowd.
Well,
Don't do it
no,
every time.
I understand. There's yeah, not everybody in California is going off the port side of the cliff. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we
And
do consider you behind enemy lines, though.
yeah, I understand. Well, I'm still lucky enough to be within the reasonable range, but I'm not falling off the port side of the cliff. Anyway, well, back on this topic. Yeah, the airframes. I think we're all pretty much in agreement that there should be as much choice as possible within the limits of something that's going to be safe and not cause issues.
Right. And I think we have enough smart people with aerodynamic knowledge to know that, this wing is too thin. This wing is not enough area, that, you need 70, and I don't say that like every single airplane needs 75 square feet of wing. Some of them might need 80, right? Some of them may need 60. I don't know. I'm not an aerodynamicist, right? That's not my calling.
I don't think we need that much simply because we're dealing with lighter weights.
Sure.
It's proportional. So I would say that a wing loading is probably more of a metric, than, well, a range of wing loadings or something like that would be as valuable for our purposes. Because remember, the Formula One class, they had specific aircraft weights and engines and all that, so that it was more reasonable for them to pick a square footage of 66 feet. In our case, since we're dealing with a lot lighter airplanes, and we know roughly what the weight of the engine is going to be within 10 or 15 pounds either way, there's going to be differences in pilot weight, and that was one of the big bugaboos in the Formula One class. You have this minimum airplane weight, and then you have some pilots that are a lot lighter and some that are a lot skinnier, and you have airplanes that were very overweight. So they should have been able to. They should have been able to say, if you can have an airplane that is lighter than 500 pounds, which was their target guideline. If you're a heavy pilot like I was at 230 something, if you're heavy, you can build if you can, and if your airplane will take 6Gs and do the dive test and everything, you can build a lighter airplane, because that's the only thing that would allow you to be competitive with a 150-pound pilot that's flying a 500-pound airplane. It would level the playing field, and it would make it so, the fat pilots like me would have to find a lighter airplane, but the lightweight pilots like Kathy Gray and some of these other people that weighed 100 or 130 pounds, they had the luxury of being able to go buy a racing airplane that was overweight for the rest of us and still come in at a ramp weight that made them competitive. And that kept a lot more airplanes competitive. All these old,
Sure.
Kathy's airplane was a number 87, the Owl racer called Pogo, which is 100 and whatever pounds overweight, you know. But when she flew it, it was competitive. And if Ray Cody got in the airplane, which he did once or twice, then all of a sudden, you know, it was a way overweight deal. So I think, you know, having a wing loading within safety limits, of course,
Sure.
might expand the field. And all of these rules, as I think we were agreeing, all of these rules later, when something becomes an issue, we should reserve the right to say, okay, we've been in business for 5 years now, and we really need to nail this engine down because there's guys screwing around with stuff or taking a used tractor engine and making 90 horse out of it, and that's ruining the class, just like what you've gone through in car racing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's all good stuff. It's we've trod that ground before. So we've been on for an hour. Nobody else has popped in, and I'm ready to. I'm honest. I'm ready to call it a night. You're okay with calling it a night?
Man, go sand cowlings. Get in.
Actually, I probably will. That's probably exactly what I'm going to do because I have a little tiny bit of daylight left, maybe, and I have lights in my shop, so I can go sand some cowlings.
All right. Well, we will. Let's see if we can get Leon and Tony and all those guys on in a couple.
Yeah,
of
we need to. Maybe we need to take a poll as to what day and time works for everyone.
Yeah.
So, and then if I can't do it, I can at least set everything up. I can always start the meeting on I can start it on my phone. I don't even have to be present. So
right. No, I understand. Okay. I get to sanding, and I will go make it to where my wife isn't quite as upset, and we will speak.
There you go. Yeah. Go have some dinner.
Have a good night, Don. Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.